this time I was at the front desk and T-Pain came in and I was like, oh, it'd just be funny if I just ask him for hand sanitizer because I just saw him use it. And then he takes the hand sanitizer, passes it to his bodyguard passes it to me, I use it, pass it back to his bodyguard. It was funny. He was a cool dude, but like I'm sure he was just like making sure, you know, he was on like a press run, so he was probably making sure he was just like not getting sick on this run, and X, Y, and Z. But
welcome back, friends. Today I drove to Minneapolis, Minnesota to hang out with a returning guest. Our guest today is a rapper, singer from Rhode Island who lived in New York and then lived in LA and then came here with Abby the Nomad and then went back to Rhode Island and now is back for his first headlining show ever. Welcome to the show, Khary. First headlining show here ever.
Yeah. I was about to say, let me caveat that.
Yeah, you've done a lot of headlining shows. Sorry.
but what's up, man? Happy to be back.
Dude, yeah, I'm happy to have you here. This is cool. So how's the skate been lately? Any injuries? I saw you doing nollie flips.
Yeah. Nollie flops. I mean, they look like a flop. It's definitely a nollie flop. Oh no, it's been cool. This summer I've just been doing a lot of shows, so I haven't skated as much, but when I do have time back home, I've been skating a lot. I got to skate at Kona Skate Park because I did a show there.
That was crazy, dude. I saw you did like a little 8-minute interview and stuff there.
To be able to perform at an actual skate park on this tour is dope.
Did you hit the tombstone? No, you didn't hit the tombstone.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No,
My friend hand planted that.
Did you? Yeah. Did he? I completely avoided that section. I was like, I'm not even going over there, man.
Are you ever worried about rolling an ankle or anything where it's gonna like interrupt your, stage abilities?
Possibly. That's why I don't jump off. I don't you won't catch me doing a lot of the stuff my friends do.
Sure.
Just because I do have to be conscious of that, but at the same time, I don't give a too. I'm much more like the lingering injuries and repeating. Like I kept falling on my left wrist earlier this year, and I just started skating with a brace because it was getting worse and worse every time. And I'm like, that's the stuff I'm like, okay, yeah, it's gonna suck when you're old, so I should probably work on that stuff.
I'm terrified of tearing ACL. In both my video parts, not that they were good, but when we did our shop videos, I was wearing ankle braces on both ankles for every clip the entire time.
Smart.
Because I'm like, because I had so many problems with it. So let's go back a little bit. Last time that you were on the show, we talked about a bunch of stuff. You were on tour with Abi. It was his last tour. You just put out that EP, Icarus, with him, which was tight. You teased the fact that you had a new album coming out, which you did drop. You've been dropping music kind of consistently. But I didn't really tell your story so much before that. So I'm going to kind of summarize a little bit where the story was up to that. Fair enough. Then I want to go back and hear some cool individual stories from these time frames. Fair enough. You grew up in Rhode Island and you started rapping because your older brother got into a rap beef with one of your friends. And so, you wrote a verse against him. And then you started going to his shows as his hype man. So really like the first time that you were doing shows was his hype man. And that kind of like slowly grew. You went by Kid in Training at that time, one of your monikers. And then you ended up going to college in Boston, I think, right? And while you were in college in Boston, you were like, college is not it. And you were kind of struggling to get in with any kind of industry because it didn't exist so much. And then you ended up going to New York and you got an internship there, which was dope. That was at Fader, I think.
So prior to that, I interned via college because we had a co-op program.
Oh, cool.
And I interned at this music PR company called Audible Treats in 2011. And then via that's when I was like, you can't pay me to go back to Boston. And then the following year is when I met someone who worked at Fader, and he told me I could intern if I wanted to go back. So that's how I ended up at Fader in 2012.
Oh, word. Okay,
gotcha.
So
just wanted to little.
No, interrupt me at any point in time. So you got out to New York and you're like, wow, dude, I can be myself. There's really no limitations here. There's obviously industry here. You did that as well as juggling a couple jobs. I think you worked at like a not Foot Locker, but like a shoe spot and an Urban Outfitters, and music kind of started to hit. And then you came out with what was on SoundCloud was at that time frame. You had some songs go really viral where they were in the millions of streams, which is a lot at that point in time. And you got to a point where you were like, I'm spending way too much time doing all this stuff for PR for other people and doing all these other jobs. I can't really focus on music. I really got to focus on music. So you did focus on music and things started to really pop off I think really with that album Intern Aquarium, right,
Yep.
is when things really went.
Yeah.
Partially because there was a big YouTuber named Luna who had used some of your music that like got you on a whole bunch of playlists with people.
Yes, sir.
Your buddy right away was like, you need to get on Spotify, on the earlier Spotify.
sir.
So you got playlisted on some of that. You started getting flown out to talk to record companies. Nothing happened. They ghosted you. Eventually from there, you ended up moving to LA, which was where you met Abi, and you were out there for I think 5 years. Last I talked to you is how long you were out there. And then I know we're kind of fast forwarding through a whole lot, but your sound evolved quite a bit. You were much more upbeat, and then you got old and depressed like me, and made just a totally different sound, where it became much more like indie and flowy and not so like lyrical miracle kind of rapping. Eventually, you ended up moving back to Rhode Island, which is where you're at now. And you're fully independent and kind of like locked in. That's what you're going to do forever, it seems like.
Yeah. There's my life just flash behind in front of my eyes right there, man. It was a lot.
I ran you through quite a bit. So I watched through every interview I could find of you on the internet, including the one that we had done, to be like, which stories haven't been shared? And you really haven't told that many actual stories. You've kind of summarized a lot of things. So I want to know, what was the first time that you went to a show with your brother as his hype man? Do you remember that experience? Were you nervous? I think you were like 16, right?
Yeah, I don't remember the exact first time, but I do remember a time where I had a homie who was like one of my best friends at the time, Nick. He was into graffiti heavily, and he made us these custom shirts with our rap names on them at the time.
Like spray painted them?
It was like he laid down some like white. It might have been spray paint, but he laid down like a white base on top of like a black shirt, and then tagged it with like a paint marker on top of it. And then I had a do-rag and a hat. I remember exactly what we looks like. I might have a picture somewhere on Facebook.
Oh my God, please find that.
But I think that show was to perform at Tommy's Lounge in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, which I'm not even sure if that's still there, but if it is, it was like the ultimate like hole in the wall old man's dive bar. Like those drinks, probably like beer was probably like back in the day, it was probably like $2 a beer back at that spot, because that was like definitely a hole in the wall spot.
How old was your brother at the time?
He had to be, at least if I'm 16, he had to be, I might have been 15, 16 area. He had to be about 22.
So was he already doing a lot of shows before that, and you were like begging him to let you come with, or was this like his first real show and you needed something?
He was already doing like a lot of local showcases and stuff. And at the same time, I think I was getting into like open mics locally. So I started doing my own shows a little bit after that too. So it was like a mix of things.
So what was your first show that was just you? Did you have your brother be your hype man for that one, or was it just solo?
No, it was just me. That was probably, I'm going to assume that took place at AS220, which was like, is a music arts program, nonprofit based in Rhode Island, for the youth, that I used to go to after school, because they had like studio recording set up there. They had beat making classes and stuff. And they also had a venue, right? Well, they still have all this stuff. And they had a venue below it, where they would do all the showcases and monthly showcases and open mics for all the younger artists and stuff.
Were you just exclusively finding beats off YouTube and stuff that you were rapping on, or where were you getting those? Or were you playing around making stuff yourself?
I think that was the era of like SoundClick. I think there's this beat making website called SoundClick where everyone was getting like their beats from. Some of them still had the tags on it from the producers and stuff like that. You could lease a beat for like $20 or buy one for like $50, which was like, or like that's like $1 million to me back then.
Yeah,
actually buying the beats. But yeah, I was either rapping over other people's beats, like industry beats, or going on SoundClick and like downloading but not like licensing them at all.
So why are things on SoundCloud and not on Spotify? It's because you don't own the rights to the beats, right? Is that why things would go on there and then you couldn't take them elsewhere? Because like
pretty
Swim
much.
Team or whatever is one of your big ones early, but it's not on Spotify.
Yeah, pretty much. I think This is prior to like Content ID being a big thing when I was, because like SoundCloud came years later for me. Because the time we're talking about, like SoundCloud, this was like MySpace days when I was like getting my beats off SoundClick, which was this weird website. Cool website back in the day.
So you didn't have your music streaming literally anywhere at that point?
Only on MySpace.
Oh, okay.
Only on MySpace. But like the reason people like, or some of my songs are just on SoundCloud was a rights issue, pretty much. And prior to Spotify, I didn't know how to make money off of music streaming anywhere.
Sure.
We were still doing sales before Spotify got popular.
Were you thinking when you were going to college, because I think I'd heard that you got free tuition because your mom worked at school or something like that, right?
I got free tuition. I had to pay room and board though.
Sure.
Which was still expensive.
I'm sure. Yeah. Are you still in debt from that?
Yes, absolutely.
Nice.
I just ignored it because I was like, I'm gonna blow up one day, and then you get in your like early 30s and like, yeah, I should have started paying that a long time ago.
Dude, yeah. And I mean, looking at myself at 36, I'm like, I really felt like I would be further along at this point, but I'm doing what I like and that's cool. So when you went to college, was that something at the time anyways, where you're still thinking maybe I'll get a job like in the industry, or were you like, I'm going to be a full-time musician, like I'm going to be a rapper, I'm just doing this because this is expected of me?
I was going to be a rapper since 16. Yeah, there was no, I would just going to class. That was like from a mom. And I'm getting free tuition at Northeastern University.
How quickly did you realize there's just no way you're going to stick it out to the end?
The moment I went to New York.
Which was a year in? Or how long?
Like a year and a half. Well, it was the summer of 2011. But I started, my grades weren't good enough to start at the beginning of the school year in 2009. So I took a semester off and started in the this winter of 2010. And then, cause I guess I could have went the first semester, but my options were to go to like China or somewhere abroad for my first. And I was way too introverted for that type of shit back then. Nowadays I would like, but like back then I was way too introverted for that. But so yeah, about a year and a half in, and then we have a co-op program, so you're supposed to spend 2 semesters interning, and yeah, I did that, and it's just like, if Northeastern happened to be in New York, I would have finished and figured it out. But like I said, you could not pay me to go back to Boston. I love the people when I do shows there, but I do not like Boston.
Were you doing a lot of shows during that time when you were there, or was that kind of like on pause?
I was doing a lot of local shows back home in Rhode Island because we're only 45 minutes away on the train at that time. They've added more stops, so it's probably like an hour now. But
sure.
So I was still doing like open mics and random stuff on the weekends back home. I was doing stuff at the student union in Rhode Island. I couldn't get like the student org, like their actual music org, to like with me for whatever reason. I just always had a chip on my shoulder in many ways. But I just started throwing my own shows. I figured out how to throw my own shows because we had a cafe called After Hours, which was like a performance venue, but also like a cafe during the day.
Sure.
Based on campus that you could perform at and figure out how to book. So I was throwing my own shows on campus, and then I was up doing like those like random college fashion shows that happen. I did a few of those at Northeastern. I did some back home in like URI and Providence. Honestly, any stage I could be on, I was always performing. Like it never stopped.
What was the moment when you were in New York that made you realize I need to live here? Because I went there and I was like, I would never live here.
When did you go?
I mean, I went like 3-4 years ago. Granted, I'm like grown adult with house and kids. I'm like, I'm not trying to be here.
At 21,
I'm sure
it was just like I was just like almost like the sequence in Home Alone 2 before like all the bad shit happens, where he's just having a great time and just like looking around and stuff. That's what it was for me, because I felt like for the first time in my life, because I also came from Providence, Rhode Island, which is small and very like, it's a lot cooler now. / like I wasn't on like chilling with RISD kids or chilling with the artsy kids back in Providence, so felt very sterile and constricting. And New York was the first time I really just felt like I could just be whoever I want to be, and I have the space to figure out who that is, even if I don't know who that is yet.
Who was the first person you met in New York that you were like, oh, you're cool as
Mm.
Was it R.A. the Rugged Man? Because he's the homie.
Nah. I met a lot of cool people at Fader. There was so many. Just like artists who'd come through or managers. There's this dude Mobilaji. He's a famous. He used to work for GQ after Fader, I think, but he was a famous like stylist and stuff for magazines, and he was always a cool dude. We weren't like super close, but he was always cool.
Yeah.
But like anyone in Fader office was cooler than me when I first got it. It was like, because it was like this is the music magazine to me at that time. It was somewhere between Pitchfork and Complex, where like Pitchfork is super niche, and Complex was kind of more pop. Fader was like this perfect middle ground. They found a lot of artists early at that time, so anyone in the office is generally pretty cool. But my first like homie who I just like met while out at a Fader event, my homie Specs.
Because of glasses? Is that why his name's Specs?
It might be. Yeah. I don't know where he got this nickname, but he is a one of a kind human being that anyone who's met him knows exactly what I'm talking about. But I met him at an event, and I was just like, "Yo, man, you seem cool. What's your like number? Let's like chill and like that." And we're still friends to this day.
Dope, dude. What is one fond memory that you have from working at Fader? I heard that you had to like deliver shoes for was it Pharrell?
Pharrell, yeah.
I mean, that's pretty dope. But like, what's one fun memory you can think of that you're like, that was actually tight?
Oh, there's a million. I can give a few. There was one, I don't know if I said these other places, but maybe I have. But there's one, so I never wanted to work there. They've offered me interview opportunities and stuff if I wanted to like scale up. Because I was like, I wasn't the best intern, but I was the one who could learn anything and who was going to show up and do like, you know, I was going to make what needed to be happen.
Yeah.
So maybe I was a good intern. But like there's stories like at that time SZA was dropping her like first EPs with the like SZA that spell out her name, and I remember them coming through. I used to chill in the mailroom because this dude Dirty, he was the mailroom guy, and he was just funny as everyone wanted to be around him. He was cool. He was one of the cool motherfuckers I met there, and he just hood as but I don't know, whatever. But I remember her and her manager at the time coming through, just bringing cupcakes for like the writers and people in the building. I remember working the front desk when Post Malone was on his first run. I remember
like he came into the room and you saw him and you were like, with all the face tats, you're like, are you gonna be something?
Well,
first time I saw him, I was like, I don't know if this guy's anybody.
So actually prior to him, the first run, I heard those songs, because I don't think those songs came out until the spring of whatever year that was.
Yeah.
But I had a homie, John Rawlings, who used to do videography stuff for like Chance the Rapper's tours and stuff like that too. He apparently was cool with all those dudes.
Wow.
Pretty early, and then he was shooting a music video for me in New York with Home Fortune called Swim Team.
Khary Jurgens, that's the name though. On top and he ain't go.
And on the shoot, while we were in the car going from location to location, he was like, "Yo, check this out," whatever, and he played me like those Post Malone songs. Like this had to be like November or December the year before those songs blew up or like were released and whatever. So I was pretty aware of that early. That happened a lot of times when I was at Fader. Just our people I knew. This time I was at the front desk and T-Pain came in and I was like, oh, it'd just be funny if I just ask him for hand sanitizer because I just saw him use it. And then he takes the hand sanitizer, passes it to his bodyguard passes it to me, I use it, pass it back to his bodyguard. It was funny. He was a cool dude, but like I'm sure he was just like making sure, you know, he was on like a press run, so he was probably making sure he was just like not getting sick on this run, and X, Y, and Z. But and then I remember, damn, there's just there's so many lost memories in this because I just experienced so much from like being at Fader. Like it was just, we were at the peak of music journalism, or when in its existence in New York. Probably the peak of music journalism when magazines still like people are still buying them and all that. I could go on for days about random.
Move to the next thing.
Yeah.
What's one thing that you learned working there that actually helped you in your career later?
I think my biggest takeaway from Fader, or not my biggest, because I learned a lot and how to, talk and how to exist in an office, how to exist around celebrities. I never was like oh my God, that's supposed to, that's, to a fault sometimes, or maybe I missed some networking opportunities because I wasn't willing to do that because I felt kind of corny and I was just like the keep it cool dude. But my biggest takeaway personally was like, I could do all this networking. I could do all these, add these contacts. Like, how TikTok tells you randomly, like, you might know this person.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of famous people whose numbers I have in my phone that show up, is crazy. Like, it's like some people I'm just like, God, I have your, like, how? I don't use it. I don't know, whatever, but you can do all this networking, you can do all this stuff, but if you, especially as an artist, and like I had homies who took the job who just like their artist didn't work out in any capacity, maybe they're happier because they went the career path, and some of them just don't even do music. But you can do all this networking, but if you don't, as an artist, you can do all this networking, but if you don't have a good product, which is your music, I don't mean product in like I don't want to take away from it being art.
Yeah.
But if you haven't put work into your art and you're doing all this networking, you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
It's like there was some point where I looked and was like, I got a lot of contacts in my phone, but I'm not as good as I need to be with music.
Sure.
And maybe at that pivotal time I should have worked on some of those relationships a little more, but that was a big realization for me, and that's kind of how I stopped.
Do you remember the moment you had that realization? Was there like something that triggered that?
It was probably after my like third South by Southwest of going with Fader and like being a part of their like street team and working the guest list and stuff. I was like, and then you go meet some of these, you meet them at like South by, and then you'll run into them, and you put up with them kind of being, you put up with them being a little full of themselves,
The artists and stuff you're saying?
or the people you're networking with. It could be artists, it could be people who worked at clothing brands, it could be X, Y, and Z, because I was working the guest list for a lot of events for them.
Yeah.
And then you do all this, and then you might run into them again in New York because all the media and stuff were in New York, and then they're like, who are you?
Sure.
I'm like, oh, dude, I made sure everyone on your squad had guest bands. I made sure everything, like I did all. And I was like, I never want to feel that again. And that was kind of like really the like nail in the coffin for me, as far as like interning goes, because I just don't. I've been pretty good in life at realizing when I'm stuck in a cycle.
Yeah.
And that's when I moved to New York. I was stuck in a cycle in Boston, and that's when I moved to LA. I was stuck in a cycle in New York. Not saying you should like always move, but I just like to pivot when things, I have this intuition, I pivot when things feel like a cycle and I'm no longer growing.
Sure.
And the networking thing was just like a big thing. I was just like, I really have a phone full of contacts that people probably pay me for if they knew the numbers.
Sure.
One day I'm gonna look through my actual contact list,
Yeah.
and be like, whose number do I have? But I have nothing to show for it musically.
Yeah, dude. I have Jacoby Shadix's number, the singer of Papa Roach.
Oh wow.
He's not going to respond to me if I text him,
Yeah.
but I have it, you know, because I was backstage with him because I know his brother, and his brother does content for him, does the video stuff on their tours.
Mm-hmm.
And I took a video of his brother taking a video of him on stage because they do like these one take music videos during their tours, like at each stop. So everyone's, whatever. And so I took that video and I was backstage with him, and I like was joking with his brother Bryson about it.
Mm-hmm.
And Jacoby's like, "Can you send that to me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what's your number?" And he looks at me. He goes, "Yeah, you're cool. Here's my number." So I sent it to him, and that's the only time I've ever talked to him. I'm sure he wouldn't respond if I messaged him. But but I think about things like that, and I'm like, but there's not real value because they wouldn't they don't remember who you are. So
if I knew how to use it the way I would know how to use it now, I could have finessed situations or just get myself closer to sources a lot easier.
Sure.
Because the real trick in networking is being of value.
Yeah, of course.
Even if that value is not returned to you immediately, even if you never get that value, but just always showing up and being known as someone of value and reaching out with value. Where it's like, it's not even like, yo, I just ran into you, I'm gonna buy your drinks because I want you to feel like I'm a cool. It's like going the extra mile of like, oh, I see you're gonna be in tour these days. Yo, I brought this to your show, or yo, I need this, or oh, yo, I don't need to be on the guest list. I just want to say hi because I see you're gonna be on tour. I'll pay for my own ticket. People still hook you up, but like, like I had Childish Gambino's manager's number at the time. I've had like, I've had so many.
Sure.
Yeah, but like, even if people don't remember me from those times, I am happy to, because even though I could do things better now, and even if people don't remember me from those times, I was always a genuine person and looked out for a lot of people and made sure they got to or got what they needed, whether it was completely in my job description as an intern or someone working the guest list. But like, yeah, no.
I mean, I think so. There's one saying that people say all the time that's like, it doesn't hurt to ask. And I think that's totally wrong. I think it definitely hurts to ask if you're asking for something inappropriate, if you're just like holding your hand out for shit. You know what I mean? If I was like, you have Chance the Rapper's manager's number, you should give that to me.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason that you would, you know what I mean? Like that would be an inappropriate ask.
Which is another one I think I used to have back in like the heyday.
but I'm just saying like that would be an inappropriate ask, right? So maybe they didn't open a bunch of doors for you. However, you didn't have any doors closed either. You know what I mean? You didn't rub them the wrong way where if you come up later, they're going to remember you negatively. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those things, you never know where they could lead at some point in time.
And I think it goes, there's a balance you have to find that I understand now. I think in some capacity, I was too let me not ask for anything.
Yeah.
Where I probably could have asked certain people for certain things instead of like, and this is part of like a personal thing I've unpacked over the past years where like my upbringing for whatever reason made me super hyper independent, which we applaud. But there is sometimes that hyper independence is holding you back from opportunities or in your life or getting other people involved or, like taking on someone who could take this task off of you so that you can focus on sometimes it hurts you from growing your business or growing as a person. So I think there is a balance to it where it's like there are some people I should ask when I think about it, but
I think part of it too is confidence of like having confidence that what you're going to give them does provide them value. It's the whole thing of like presenting an opportunity rather than asking for a favor because they are different things, and maybe some once in a while you'll present an opportunity to somebody that you view is a positive opportunity that brings them value and they don't see it that way, but that just kind of is what it is. So I want to hear a little bit about the hair thing. So you went through various stages of your hair. You had kind of like a high flat top thing with the glasses. Then you did the dreads that were like swooped over your eye in like a almost emo looking way.
It was an emo time.
Yeah, dude. And then you eventually shaved them all. And then eventually at some point you were like, being bald is inevitable.
Yes.
When did you realize being bald was inevitable?
I probably subconsciously realized that a long time ago. I always had a big forehead growing up. So, and now the dudes on my mom's side and dad's side, I guess except for one, were all bald. So it was going to happen at some point. Maybe I should have shaved off sooner. Maybe I don't know. But, I realized that a long time ago. But at the same time, it wasn't like drastic enough for me to just be like, all right, get rid of it now.
Yeah, you didn't have the peninsula sticking out where it was really...
But I look back at some of those pictures, I'm like, yeah, I should have cut that off a little bit earlier.
What is your cringiest fashion moment looking back on it that you're like, dude? Because I've had some good ones in high school.
It's definitely, I truly think it's that era of the emo dreads, dude. It's a cool idea, but like, I was going through some shit and I really wish like I didn't have to do that to like express myself through it because you know I feel like we do that a lot with hair. Hair carries a lot of energy to us. So a lot of times it's like I know it's funny. I used to joke and it's like, oh, I know a girl's going through a breakup when she like cuts her hair or dyes that shit. You know, I was right a few times, and then I slid in some DMs after. But I think even with me though, a lot of times when I was shaved, now I don't really have much. I don't have maybe if I cut my beard off, I'm going through some. but I don't really have anywhere to really go anymore with
If
the
all
hair.
of a sudden you get riff-raff stripes in your beard, we know you're going through something.
Yeah, you might.
What is the cringiest song you've ever made that looking back on it's still on the internet and you haven't taken it off? Because we grow and like I look at old episodes and I'm like, I sucked at that one, but I don't feel like I need to delete it, but I would be embarrassed by it.
I just recently discovered this is the cringiest song I've ever made. I'm not gonna say the name because I don't want anyone to find it. This is in a transition into using my real name era, and I have a line where I say something like, not to justify, but they know how to take it. And I think in my head I was using it as like a bar about being ambitious and going for what you need. And then I reheard that the other day and I was like, holy, this is bad. This is like really bad.
And then the Alpha Male podcast.
I'm so happy I'm not running for like that. I have some bars you could just loop.
Dude, yeah, I think about that sometimes with like, if somebody wants to make you look bad, like for any artist or any creative, anyone who has stuff on the internet, you can find some stuff. Of all the music videos that you've ever made, which one did you put the most into? Because you've had some pretty crazy ones. You've had some that were very obviously like, let's just go to a park and make this thing quick. You know, like I Look Like My Dad with Obby is like just hanging out in the park for the most part.
Those are actually my favorite ones to shoot, the one shots, because it's like, it's a vibe. It's just the vibe, you know. You don't have to overthink them. But I think the most I actually put into a music video, I'm trying to think. There's two options. But I actually think the most energy I literally put into a music video was for this song I had called The Giving Tree. You know those like draw-on effects where, you know, you go frame by frame?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I literally did that for a full music video on a slow old MacBook that like I couldn't even render completely. I had to like export the video to see how far the render went. And I went frame by frame on my trackpad, drawing like little accents for like a song. I think it either has 2 verses or it has 3, but it's over like 4 minutes of that. And it's not my best music video, and this was like done back in like 2014. But yeah, that one took a lot of time. And this isn't like now where you could probably just keyframe a lot of that stuff a lot easier than you could back then, or I didn't have the skills to. But I know that one for sure took a lot of time. And there's probably one more. There's one more that's in the back of my head that I'm thinking about, but it's not coming to me right now. But that one for sure took.
Which one's your favorite costume that you wore, and which one would you never wear again?
I don't think I would ever put that alien paint on my head again for aliens. I wonder if they hold me there. Because that took forever to get off. That was,
I saw that.
It was a nightmare.
And I heard you like mention something about that, and then I realized it was even on your eyelids.
Yeah.
Dude.
I had to use nail polish remover for a lot of that, I'm pretty sure.
Did it burn the shit out of your eyes?
It didn't, oddly enough. And I did it twice because we shot on 2 different days, so I did it twice. Yeah, getting that off was terrible.
So you wouldn't do the alien. Which one's your favorite then? Let's say you got to go on a tour and you have to wear it on every show.
I'd wear the one with the Zorro wig and the big suit for, say, my piece. I'd wear that because that big suit I just literally got from a thrift store. It felt like some Steve Harvey.
Is that the one with the green hair?
With the green hair.
Yeah. Riding the scooter around.
And I actually did a show in LA, and it was mad comfy to perform in. So, you know, maybe not the wig is but the wig kind of brings it together. Because other than the wig, I just look like a bald dude in a big ass suit. If I do it that way, but almost like some.
Then you look like Steve Harvey for sure.
No, I just look like Steve Harvey.
Okay, so I'm kind of bouncing around, and I know I'm like going quick because we got to get to your show before too crazy long. Yep. So at what point did you realize that you wanted to be independent? Because you got ghosted, but you were clearly not trying to be independent at that point in time. But at some point, the trigger is like, oh, independent means I could make my own money. I have my own freedom. I can't be shelved. Like there's a lot of benefits.
I don't know when I realized I want to be independent. I just think I should have been independent, and I didn't accept that.
I don't think people knew that at the time, though. Like,
But
being
even
independent
at
wasn't
that
a big
time,
thing.
though, like how I've always carried myself, and just I really wish I realized that I should, like, bro, you should be independent. Like, I caught the beginning of Spotify, so I could have built out my streaming. You know, I was on SoundCloud, things were working fine, and you know, I was shipping my own merch out. I was doing like when Intern Aquarium popped off, I was doing like 30K in merch sales like a year.
Wow.
As just like this kid in his like New York basement. And if I really dialed in, I could have been doing like 50K to like 100K if I really knew what the fuck I was doing back then.
Yeah.
And I've always moved like that. You know, I used to try and sell my brother's mixtapes to my classmates. I used to my first piece of merch was at like 16. It had a black and white face thing that my homie graphic designed of my big face, and I learned through that. I was like, oh yeah, maybe I shouldn't put my big face on
I was
a
going to
t-shirt.
say, I don't think you've done
no
that
one wants
since,
to wear that shit. But like, I was always doing these little steps that were teaching me how to be independent. I was at Fader taught me a lot about being independent. Fader taught me a lot about what it means to be signed, and I was just holding on to this idea of what being signed meant in the past, because I grew up, I've existed through so many different eras of music. I've existed through the open mic era. I've existed through the play the local shows, opening up for 90s rappers. Maybe someone signs you, takes you on the road. I've played to try and get signed to labels. I played the SoundCloud. I played the streaming. I played the blog era. And all these, and within all these eras is like, the signs that I should have been independent have always been there when I really think back and look back on it. Now I'm actually operating as such, but I don't know if this isn't a good answer to your actual question, but just making me think of like, yeah, I should have been independent. And I had to come to that realization where it's like, part of me still wants to be signed.
Sure.
But how I am and how I should be independent. And when I say wants, is like, part of me wants the things that come with it.
Yeah.
You know, but it's not what it used to be, and I should have always been independent.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Who do you think are the top three independent rappers? Who do you think is doing it the best? Because before, you could not be a superstar and be independent. I remember I interviewed Bubba Sparks, and he was like adamant about that, and I was like, I don't know if I agree. And now you don't have to be. There are huge artists that are independent.
Yeah, I agree with him on that. I don't think you could back in the day. You couldn't.
No.
You could make more money,
Sure,
than the people you think are signed, like the way the Tech Nine route, or like the even like Mos Def and Talib Kweli. I'm sure they were making a lot of money. But current independent rappers who I look at and say you get it in some capacity is like La Russell, which I mean, he might have signed a management deal or something with Rod. I don't know, but he is an independent artist to me.
yeah.
Regardless of how people feel about controversy or whatever, overlook all the good things he does and the positivity. Whatever, I'm not gonna get into that right now.
Yeah.
I think he moves right. There's a bunch. I just can't think of them off the top of my head right now. But if like a clear answer would be like him. It's like, you get it, you know what you're doing.
I mean, Russ is still independent, right? And he's like doing crazy numbers.
There's
Not
Russ as
saying that
well.
I'm a huge
Well,
fan
he tried.
personally,
He
but-
did the signing thing, and
Yeah.
then he's another person who probably was just, well, from his interviews, he's like, I should be independent. You know, just how
Yeah.
I move does not make sense with how I don't need as much of the hand holding from labels who ultimately don't do anymore.
And then Connor Price. Isn't Baby No Money? Is he still independent? I think he is.
Oh yeah, there's the Connor Prices.
Connor Price and Nick D are putting out ridiculous numbers.
Yes. And I watched an interview with Nick D.
Yeah.
Where he said, because I used to see his ads back in the day.
Yeah.
And then he came to a show I did with Sylvan LeCue. This is like 2018 when I was on. That was my first like tour opening up for Sylvan. And in the interview, I like at the show, I said, "Oh, you're the guy who runs the ads." And I meant it in like an endearing way.
Yeah.
But I watched the interview he did. And he's like, yeah, I didn't want to be known as the guy who does the ads, so I stopped running ads from that day.
You were the trigger for that?
I absolutely was the trigger.
Dude, that's incredible.
I DM'd him about it, and I was like, well, it seemed you don't need them. It just seemed like you didn't need them now.
Dude, I was just trying to get a hold. I mean, I just talked to his manager because they came through Milwaukee, and I was like, we should do an interview because he just did a song with Sunreal on Sunreal's newest album.
Gotcha.
And I've interviewed Sunreal a couple times. Okay. You've seen a lot of live shows, and there's a lot of really horrible ones, and there's a lot of really good ones. I do put you, and I'm not going to say which rappers that I've not enjoyed live, but there's been a lot of them. You are one of the rappers where I was like, dude. But there's a lot of rappers that just don't put energy behind, you know what I mean, their music. Okay, I'll just say him because he'll never do an interview with me. Mike Jones was horrible live.
Oh, Mike Jones.
And I was so excited, and he was nice. Like, I met him briefly, but he didn't put any energy into it at all. He had sunglasses and a hoodie up and was just mumbling to like.
Mike Jones should do club appearances.
Yeah, dude. I saw how much he got paid.
I just think that's like his strength. That's probably like his.
I just want him to like play the music that I like. Who? Mike Jones. Anyways,
was he not playing the? He wasn't playing the
I
hits?
mean, I didn't listen to most of it because it was not good, and I was busy doing some other stuff.
I saw him at a club.
People.
I saw him at like a 2000 club night in LA, and that was fun.
Okay, well, so and we could talk more off mic about it, but who has been the best rap performer you've seen live, and who has been the most underwhelming?
I don't know if I could answer underwhelming.
I mean, I threw Mike Jones under the bus. You got nobody?
I wouldn't call it underwhelming. It just, I would say it's much more unfortunate. Like I went and saw Khary either 2 months ago or a month ago, but I think a year or two ago he fell off stage and had like a hip replacement. And the visuals, his performance, everything was tight, but like from videos I've seen of him in the past, and this was like a bucket list to finally go see him. And this isn't like it's not even that's why I can't say it's
not really
underwhelming. It's just like I was just watching like, oh yeah, he's clearly not as mobile as he used to be, because hip replacements and all that is like that's life changing in movement wise. And if you get your movement back in like a good way, it's dope. And he's moving pretty fine, but like the performance, the vocals, he played the songs I loved. My favorite song, Khary song, is Ghost. The visuals behind it was very dope. So I can't say it was underwhelming. I can't say it was a bad performance, but that's like the most recent performance I went to where I was just like, oh yeah, he clearly can't move as well as he used to, because it's just unfortunate.
So who is the best live performer you've ever seen? I'm going to throw Sunreal, I think, is the best rap performer I've ever seen. He's really good live.
I'll give you two for very different reasons. Sean Price is one of the best rap, if we're just saying like rap. Watching him command a stage, RIP, watching him command a stage literally with just a mic on a stand when I was younger was like, yo, this guy is like, this is like gospel. This is like church. Being able to have that much power without jumping around, with all even the antics and the jokes I make, and this is like the stuff I like about, I picked apart different things and took the things I like from different people I've seen live and made it my own. But like his ability to just, anyone who could just go up there and really rock a crowd, not depend so heavily on you just knowing the lyrics, but just like put a spell on the crowd from just rapping is crazy. And then I'll give you three. Second one is Busta Rhymes and Spliff, his hype man. They're like a tandem bike. It's like perfect. And then T-Pain is one of the best performers I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I've heard that he's incredible. I know the guys who do Epic Rap Battles of History. I interviewed them, and they were telling me stories about working with them, about how he's just like the most talented person that's ever existed. Yeah. And like all of his auto-tune and stuff, he can just do without auto-tune anyways. And he's just like a genius.
And he's a dancer before the music took off.
And he just like dropped a rap song with Prof where it was just rapping bars. And he just crushed it.
How are you keeping with this facetiousness?
Okay, what's your most embarrassing moment on stage? You never tried kickflip land primo and eight?
I've definitely fell, but like, I think any embarrassing moment that happened to me on stage was much more in my head than anything that happened
Sure.
externally, because I've been performing since I was like 16, so I've learned how to troubleshoot things that should be embarrassing or bad moments, like getting heckled in Austria but turning the crowd on my side and kind of booing the dude who was heckling.
What did he say?
He was just like, the rap should be about the revolution. He wanted that like 90s shit. And he was in the front row just drunk and yelling, and there was like 2,000 people
In Austria?
Yeah. Someone who produced on Intern Aquarium, Be Visible, he's from Austria.
Okay.
And then they had a festival he worked out, and they brought me out there before the project dropped. So like, I didn't even have enough songs to do 45 minutes. And when I got there, I didn't know I was going last on the last day in the like headliner type spot. Yeah, it was insane. I had to do certain songs multiple times because I didn't have enough songs to do it. But yeah, I feel like I don't really have embarrassing moments because I've always turned them around at this point. Anything embarrassing happened before I can remember it.
Okay, fair enough. What's your most memorable experience on stage, period? Like, if they're making a documentary and they're going to end this movie, this biopic, with this scene, which one is it going to be?
I would want you to play a performance of me in Tommy's Lounge.
From way back when?
Mm-hmm. So you could see, like I didn't play about that. Like, I was serious. I was locked in, maybe not as disciplined in many ways and distracted by a lot of things, especially as I continue to get older. But if you could see, like, I really wish people could see what I was like back then, because you would see the beginnings of what my stage looks like now. You would see like how disciplined I put up with merch, or like bullying my homies to like pull up to my shows, or watching one artist jump off stage, run to the crowd, and that's been incorporated in my set since 2009. But the passion and hunger, whether I was good or not back then, and the self-awareness to get better, I would much rather that be at the end than some magical moment like opening for Abi and we're playing this sold out show in London, which is one of the best shows I've ever played in my life. But I'd much rather end it with that.
Yeah, dude. All right. Well, I have so much more I want to ask you about, but I think you got to get over to the venue right now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
What time is it?
5:28.
Okay, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll do a round 3 in the future when you come back to Minneapolis,
sure.
dude. Thank you for letting me into your hotel room. I'll try to clean stuff up.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of The Passion Pod. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. We'll see you soon.